conflict, instability, danger, poverty. These are the labels the world often attaches to Afghanistan. Do these statements really reflect the whole picture of Afghanistan? Or are we missing out on other aspects, stories of resilience, rich culture, and people striving to rise above adversity? While the world focuses on the challenges, Afghanistan still has the beauty of majestic mountains. Thousands of years of history with ancient civilizations, and a cultural heritage that has shaped the identity of this nation. It is time to put aside the stereotypes so that untold stories can be revealed. To discover the beauty and the strong vitality of an Afghanistan. Kabul carries more than 3.5 millennia of history, a crossroads that once pulsed at the heart of the Silk Road. Today, it remains Afghanistan's largest economic and political center, a city where Persian elegance, Central Asian toughness, and Indian vibrancy converge into a single, intricate tapestry. "99% of its people follow Islam, with the vast majority adhering to the Sunni tradition, a faith that shapes the rhythm of daily life through ancient customs and quiet devotion. Here, the art of hand-woven carpets from Kabul and Herat is more than a trade. It is a memory of generations. Silversmiths carve delicate filigree, while artisans polish deep blue lapis lazuli into jewelry that glows like fragments of the Hindu Kush. In the middle of Kabul's dense, fast-moving cityscape, Babur Garden stands as a rare moment of calm. It is the burial place of Emperor Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire, one of the most powerful dynasties in South Asian history. It later became a place of pilgrimage and a historical site that continues to attract visitors from all over the region. Babur Garden is also the oldest surviving Mughal garden in Afghanistan, preserving the classic Mughal layout, central axis, terraced levels, stone channels, and carefully planned greenery, creating balance and serenity. After decades of conflict had devastated the garden, the Aga Khan Trust for Culture began restoring it in 2002, following its historic Mughal layout. It stands as a testament to Afghanistan's ability to protect and revive its heritage, even through periods of immense hardship. In the hills west of Kabul, Darul Aman Palace rises like a forgotten European palace in Central Asia. Designed in a European neoclassical style, the palace was envisioned as the centerpiece of a new reformed nation, a bold architectural statement of progress and revival. For many years, Darul Aman was only a shadow of that vision. Its roof had caved in, stairways were shattered, and entire sections stood open to the sky. Wind moved through empty corridors where grand ceilings once stood, and the stone exterior carried deep scars from decades of conflict. Burned down 3 times in war, the castle was reborn in 2019, becoming a symbol of a resilient Afghanistan, collapsed but never gone. Walls were reinforced, galleries reconstructed, and the palace's sweeping symmetry returned to life. This is a renewed landmark that bridges a damaged history with the enduring hope of a nation determined to rise again. Long before Kabul became the capital of a modern nation, a fortress guarded this valley. Known as Bala Hisar, it is one of Afghanistan's oldest survivors. A stronghold whose origins reach back to the 5th century BCE, into the era of ancient Persian empires and the Hephthalites who once ruled these mountains. Over the centuries, Bala Hisar has passed from empire to empire, from Mughal expansion to Sassanid consolidation to a royal palace and military fortress under the Durrani dynasty. Each era added new walls, gates, and defenses on top of the old, making the fortress a replica of Afghanistan's changing forces. Although many sections were damaged during later conflicts, the silhouette of Bala Hisar still carries the weight of more than 2 millennia of history. Among Kabul's religious landmarks, Shah-e-Du Shamshira Mosque stands out immediately. Its name, Shah-e-do Shamshira, meaning the King of Two Swords, comes from an Islamic legend honoring courage and martyrdom. A story that gives the mosque both its title and its symbolic identity. Built in the early 20th century under King Amanullah Khan, the mosque breaks almost every expectation of traditional Afghan Islamic architecture. Instead of the usual domes and geometric lines, it carries an unmistakable European influence, a Baroque Rococo style rarely seen anywhere in the region. With flocks of pigeons gathering on its steps and filling the open space in front of the mosque, Shah-e-do Shamshira often appears more like a living courtyard than a static monument. Today, Shah-e-do Shamshira is one of Kabul's most distinctive mosques, a symbol of a short-lived but ambitious era preserved in architecture. Not every great story is told in words. In Kabul, amid the hustle and bustle of life, the Saki Shrine stands quietly. A living testament to centuries of devotion and the city's resilient spirit. Revered by both locals and pilgrims, it is dedicated to Hazrat Ali, a figure of profound significance in Islamic tradition. The shrine's turquoise domes and intricate tile work shimmer under the Afghan sun, a quiet contrast to the bustling streets that surround it. Inside, the air hums with whispered prayers and the soft rhythm of ritual, a living heartbeat of faith that has survived wars and upheaval. Each carved archway, each painted motif, tells stories of generations who have sought solace, guidance, and hope within these walls. At Saki Shrine, history, spirituality, and the resilient soul of Kabul converge in a space both sacred and deeply human. At the edge of Kabul, surrounded by the green mountain slopes of Pagman, stands Tak-e-Zafar, a European-style triumphal arch rising unexpectedly from Afghanistan's rugged landscape. The monument was commissioned after King Amanullah Khan returned from a long tour of Europe, where he was deeply influenced by Western architecture and modernization. Inspired by the Arc de Triomphe in France, he envisioned an Afghanistan stepping confidently into a new era, blending its own identity with global progress. And Tak-e-Zafar was built as a symbol of renewal. But during the conflicts of the 1980s and 1990s, the arch was heavily damaged. In the year 2014, the monument was restored, bringing back its clean white stone, proportions, and symbolic promise. Today, Tak-e-Zafar once again stands over Pagman as a quiet testament to Afghanistan's enduring aspiration for progress, resilience, and renewal. Next, we will take you to a road not for the faint-hearted. This is the death road hanging between heaven and earth, where truck convoys must drive close to the edge of the cliff to survive. A masterpiece of terrain, but also a nightmare for every driver. Carved through a narrow corridor of sheer cliffs and jagged stone, Mahipar Pass twists its way across one of the most dramatic mountain landscapes in eastern Afghanistan. The terrain is harsh and angular, dry, wind-cut rock in shades of gold and gray, rising sharply above a road that clings to the mountainside. This stretch of the Kabul-Jalalabad highway has long been known as one of the world's most dangerous highways. A place where steep drops, blind curves, and sudden descents test every driver's nerve. While far below, the Kabul River winds in a ribbon of turquoise, cutting through the stone like a blade of water. Mahipar is a place where the mountains feel close enough to touch, where the landscape narrows into a realm of raw power and exposed earth. Let us cast aside the familiar map and lift the mists of history. We are entering Hazarajat, a land whose name is a whisper of fallen empires, where secrets remain buried beneath the soil. This is the traditional homeland of the Hazara people, one of Afghanistan's largest ethnic groups. The Hazara carry a distinct heritage. Their features reflect a strong Central Asian and Mongolic ancestry, echoes of the Mongol Empire and earlier nomadic tribes that once crossed these plateaus. Their culture, language, and traditions form a world of their own, preserved by geography as much as by identity. Most Hazara follow Shia Islam, a religious identity that sets them apart from the Sunni majority population across the rest of Afghanistan. This combination of isolation, history, and belief gives Hazarajat a character that feels both ancient and deeply rooted. In the central highlands of Hazarajat lies Bamiyan, a city that serves as the cultural and historical center of the Hazara people. Life here unfolds between open fields, adobe homes, and wide mountain views, creating a landscape that feels both remote and deeply rooted. Although the community today is predominantly Shia Hazara, the valley around the city carries the visible memory of an older spiritual world. One that once made Bamiyan one of the most important Buddhist centers in Central Asia. The Bamiyan Valley opens into a broad basin surrounded by towering sandstone mountains, glowing in shades of yellow and red. From the 1st century to the 12th, this valley was a thriving crossroads of the Silk Road, where Indian, Persian, and Central Asian influences shaped a flourishing Buddhist civilization. The legacy of the Golden Age is still evident in the cliffs. Countless hand-carved caves, from monasteries to meditation halls, and ancient Gandhara and Central Asian frescoes. the earliest evidence of oil painting in the world. In the year 2003, UNESCO declared the valley a World Heritage Site, recognizing both its extraordinary historical value and the urgency of preserving what endures. Today, when the setting sun turns the sandstone cliffs a glowing orange, the entire valley becomes a living monument. High on a ridge of crimson stone, Shar-e-Zohak watches over the Bamiyan Valley like a silent sentinel of the ancient world. Built as a defensive stronghold, Shar-e-Zohak served for centuries as the primary military outpost protecting the entrance to Bamiyan. Its strategic position made it a critical checkpoint on caravan routes that carried goods, travelers, and ideas across Central Asia. The city reached its peak under the Ghurrid dynasty in the 12th and 13th centuries. Becoming one of their most formidable fortresses, a red citadel that seemed almost impossible to conquer. Its towers, ramparts, and steep cliffs formed a natural and architectural barrier feared by anyone attempting to cross the valley. But its strength also drew the wrath of empires. When a grandson of Genghis Khan was killed in Bamiyan, the Mongol army marched on Shar-e-Zohak with unrelenting fury. In an act of vengeance, they destroyed the fortress completely, leaving behind ruins that still bear the scars of that devastation. Today, the remains of the Red City stand as a silent monument to ancient warfare, a place where the winds of the Hindu Kush whistle through shattered walls. Rising from the heart of Bamiyan like a broken monument, Shar-e-Golgola carries a name that means the City of Screams, a haunting reminder of its violent end. Built from mud brick and stone, the ancient citadel once served as a thriving Islamic stronghold, complete with defensive walls, watchtowers, inner chambers, and foundations that still trace the outline of a lost capital. When the last fortress fell, the Mongol army massacred the entire population, leaving the city in ruins. Legend has it that the cries of the victims were so loud that their echoes can still be heard on the wind blowing over the hilltops. Today, the remnants of Shar-e-Golgola stand silent over the Bamiyan Valley, shattered walls, exposed rooms, and sun-baked ruins overlooking the fields below. It is a place where history and myth intertwine, a ruin shaped by war, but preserved by time. West of Bamiyan, the mountains open into one of Afghanistan's most extraordinary landscapes, Band-e-Amir National Park, the first national park in the country. Here, a chain of 6 sapphire blue lakes stretches across a high plateau, their colors so vivid that they seem almost unreal against the pale limestone cliffs surrounding them. The water's striking blue comes from natural travertine deposits, which filter the mineral-rich springs and give each lake its distinctive clarity and glow. Because of this unique geology, Many travelers call Band-e-Amir the Pamukkale of Afghanistan, or the Hindu Kush Paradise Lakes. According to Islamic legend, these lakes were formed by the miracle of Imam Ali, a divine presence and protection to which communities in the region constantly pray. Whether viewed through the lens of geology or faith, Band-e-Amir stands as one of Afghanistan's most extraordinary natural sanctuaries, a place where shimmering water, myth, and mountain silence meet on the roof of the Central Highlands. A place where civilizations intersect, where knowledge and beauty crystallize into masterpieces, and where the light of a cultural empire once spread across Asia. That land is not merely a location, but a treasury of human history, Herat. With more than 2,500 years of heritage, the city was shaped by some of the most influential empires of the ancient and medieval world. The Achaemenids, Alexander the Great, the Seleucids, the Sassanids, and later the Ghaznavids and the Ghurids. Herat reached its greatest brilliance under the Timurid Empire in the 14th and 15th centuries. When Timur and his son, Shah Rukh, transformed it into the artistic and intellectual heart of Central Asia, a center of poetry, architecture, miniature painting, and scholarship that rivaled Samarkand. Among Afghan cities, Herat reflects the strongest Persian character. Its language, literature, tile work, gardens, and architectural sensibility echo the world of Greater Persia, giving the city an identity both deeply Afghan and unmistakably Persian in spirit. If Herat is the heart of a civilization, then Herat's citadel is its unyielding soul. Known through the ages as the City of Alexandria and Iskandar Kala, the fortress is a living legend, an open-air archive of resilience and empire. Towering over the old city, the citadel stands as one of Afghanistan's most enduring citadels, its foundations stretching back to the earliest chapters of the region's history. Local tradition links its earliest architectural layers to Alexander the Great, who passed through the area in the 4th century BC and is said to have laid the foundations of the site. Across the centuries, nearly every major power in Western Afghanistan rebuilt or expanded it, strengthened by the Ghaznavids, enlarged by the Ghurids, and magnificently restored by the Timurids, who made it a centerpiece of their imperial capital. Constructed from sun-baked brick and framed by commanding towers, the citadel watches over Herat like a guardian of the past. Its walls and courtyards preserve the imprint of every empire that claimed it, forming a layered historical record carved into stone. Today, after careful restoration, Herat Citadel remains one of the country's finest surviving fortresses, where ancient Afghan military architecture, Timurid refinement, and the legacy of Alexander intersect in a single monumental structure. Between the desert and the mountains, Herat hides an architectural treasure, where every tile detail, every motif is a chapter in the splendid history of Islam. Inviting all eyes to admire the wonderful sophistication, the Great Mosque of Herat is widely regarded as the largest and most beautiful mosque in Afghanistan, a masterpiece that reflects the height of Timurid artistry. Although it has stood for many centuries, its most significant expansion and reconstruction took place during the 14th and 15th centuries, when Herat became the artistic capital of Central Asia under the Timurid dynasty. Through every era, the mosque has been repaired, rebuilt, and renewed, yet it has never lost the spirit of Persian Timurid design. Its walls are covered in mosaic tiles of deep blue, turquoise, and gold, composed of millions of tiny pieces arranged into patterns that blend Buddhist, Persian, and Islamic motifs. This unmistakable Timurid blue gives the entire complex a luminous, almost celestial presence. The mosque follows the classic Persian 4E1 architectural plan, built around four vast courtyards framed by monumental iwans, decorated with intricate tile work, Kufic calligraphy, and geometric designs. Inside, the space opens into soaring vaults and rows of stone pillars. Natural light pours through arched windows, scattering across the glazed tiles and creating a cinematic interplay of shadow and color. During Ramadan, the mosque's courtyards come alive as worshippers gather under the night sky for Taraweeh. Rows of people fill the open space, their voices rising in a gentle, rhythmic recitation that reflects off the blue tiles. In the soft glow of light, faith, history, and architecture merge into a single, serene moment. Today, the Great Mosque of Herat serves as the most important religious center in Western Afghanistan and stands as one of the few monuments that have preserved the full artistic identity of the Timurid era despite centuries of conflict. Ongoing conservation efforts supported by UNESCO have helped safeguard its timeless beauty and continues to anchor Herat as the cultural heart of Western Afghanistan. Framed by towering cliffs and snow-covered peaks for most of the year, Panjshir Valley cuts a long, narrow corridor through the mountains, its dramatic landscape unlike anywhere else in Afghanistan. Along the banks of the Panjshir River, ribbons of green, terraced fields, orchards, and small villages create a striking contrast against the surrounding walls of bare stone. The valley is defined by its deep gorges, winding mountain passes, and the emerald mines that have supplied some of the world's most coveted gemstones. It is the homeland of Ahmad Shah Massoud, the Lion of Panjshir. A legendary resistance leader who fought against both Soviet forces and the Taliban, turning this valley into a symbol of defiance. Long regarded as nearly impossible to conquer, Panjshir earned a reputation as Afghanistan's natural fortress. Its people, predominantly Tajik, have maintained strong traditions of independence and local self-governance, shaped by a history of resilience carved into the mountains themselves. In the legendary history of Central Asia, there are few places that evoke such majestic and terrifying names as Hindu Killer or Indian Mountains. These haunting nicknames are not accidental. They were born from the extreme harshness of a giant natural wall, stretching nearly 800 kilometers and considered the sturdy, rugged backbone of this land. That is the Hindu Kush Range, the soul and heart of Afghanistan. Snow-covered for most of the year and carved with some of the most treacherous terrain on Earth, this range has long been known as the Stone Barrier of Central Asia, a natural fortress that has shaped the history, culture, and movement of entire civilizations. Acting as a vast geographic divide, the Hindu Kush separates Afghanistan into its northern and southern worlds, influencing climate, trade, and the lives of the people who have long navigated its unforgiving passes. Despite the harsh natural conditions, this land still serves as a safe haven for rare animals. It is on the high mountainsides and deep canyons that people still find traces of the proud Siberian ibex and the looming shadow of the Himalayan wolf. Amidst the eerie silence, the Hindu Kush appears as a brutal frontier of nature. It is not only a wall that blocked the footsteps of great empires of the past, but also an extremely harsh environment where only the strongest survival instincts have a chance to survive. Under the deep blue sky, thousands of pure white doves soar above the blue-tiled domes, creating a peaceful scene in Mazar-e Sharif, the spiritual heart of the Afghan people. Mazar-e Sharif rises as the principal city of northern Afghanistan, a vital economic and commercial hub positioned along the trade routes that connect Afghanistan with Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. Though younger than the ancient city of Balkh, it still carries a legacy shaped over thousands of years, today known for its unusual sense of calm, clean architecture, and open, orderly streets. At the center of this serenity stands the city's greatest symbol, the Blue Mosque, or the Shrine of Ali. Revered across the region, it is tied to the figure of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. The fourth successor of Islam, and a sacred presence in both Shia and Sufi traditions. The structure itself is a brilliant example of Timurid architecture, its surface fully adorned with deep blue glazed tiles, Persian calligraphy, and shimmering mosaic work, crowned by a radiant turquoise dome that blends Persian and Central Asian aesthetics. Surrounding the shrine is a vast courtyard lined with gardens and stone pathways, home to hundreds of white pigeons that are cherished and protected by the community, seen as symbols of blessing and never to be harmed. This sacred complex makes Mazar-e-Sharif the place where tens of thousands of people gather each spring to witness the raising of the sacred Duldul flag, a ritual associated with Imam Ali and believed to foretell the fortunes of the coming year. In Mazar-e-Sharif, faith, legend, and cultural pride converge beneath a sky of blue tiles, creating a city where history is profoundly alive. Each spring, Mazar-e-Sharif becomes the beating heart of Afghanistan's Nowruz celebration. Tens of thousands gather at the Blue Mosque to witness the raising of the sacred Duldul banner, a ritual tied to Imam Ali and believed to reveal the fortune of the coming year. As the flag rises, the courtyard fills with the scent of spring flowers and the soft hum of prayers. It is a moment where faith, hope, and tradition merge, marking the city as the spiritual gateway of the new year. Hidden under thick layers of time dust, the ancient city of Balkh, once a holy land of Zoroastrianism and Buddhism. Often hailed as the Mother of Cities, is a place where history seems to linger in every stone. As one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited settlements, it was the cradle of Zoroastrianism. Giving rise to one of humanity's earliest spiritual traditions. Centuries ago, its bustling streets and caravanserais formed a thriving commercial hub, connecting the Persian heartlands with the vast expanses of Central Asia. Walking among the remnants of its walls and gates, one can almost hear the hum of history that earned it the title of Afghanistan's revered Mother of Cities. Hidden deep within the mountains of Ghor province stands one of Afghanistan's most extraordinary and least accessible monuments, the Minaret of Jom. Built around the year 1190 during the height of the Ghurid Empire, it once ranked as the second tallest minaret of the medieval world, surpassed only by the Qutub Minar in India. Rising roughly 65 meters, the tower is constructed entirely from baked brick, its surface wrapped in Kufic calligraphy, geometric patterns, and verses from the Quran that spiral upward like a carved manuscript. It is one of the very few surviving masterpieces of Ghurid architecture, a dynasty that once ruled vast parts of Afghanistan, Iran, and northern India. Recognizing its historical and architectural importance, UNESCO declared the Minaret of Jam a World Heritage Site, a rare honor for a structure so distant from any city. Today, it remains one of the most hauntingly beautiful landmarks in Afghanistan, a lone tower rising from a forgotten valley, carrying the echo of an empire long vanished. It was once the heart of an empire whose influence stretched from Iran to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and northern India, Ghazni. It was also one of the greatest centers of science, literature, and art in the medieval world, often compared to Baghdad and Isfahan for intellectual excellence. At the height of its glory under the Ghaznavid dynasty, the city flourished as a crossroads of scholars, poets, mathematicians, and architects. The legacy of that era still survives in its most iconic monuments. The Ghazni minarets, a pair of towering structures covered entirely in baked brick, remain the city's most striking symbols. Their surfaces are carved with intricate geometric patterns and bold Kufic inscriptions, forming masterpieces of Islamic design that have endured nearly 1,000 years of wind and dust. Above the city rises the citadel of Ghazni, a massive earthen fortress built on a high hill. The mud brick walls, weathered by the passage of time, bear the scars of history and tell of thousands of years of war and peace. Today, Ghazni seems quieter, its ancient grandeur eroded by centuries of conflict and erosion. Yet the minarets, fortresses, and ruins scattered across the plains remain as powerful echoes of a city that was once the intellectual and political center of the region. Stretching nearly 300 kilometers across the far northeast of Afghanistan, the Wakhan Corridor feels like a remnant of the ancient world. A place where geography has preserved cultures, landscapes, and wildlife that have vanished elsewhere. Surrounded by the Hindu Kush, the Pamir, and the Karakoram, it remains one of the most isolated regions on Earth. The high mountains are home to one of Wakhan's most iconic species, the Marco Polo sheep. Known for its spectacular spiraling horns, which can reach up to 1.4 meters in length. This animal is a signature of the Pamir Range, moving across slopes that few humans ever reach. Life in Wakhan is shaped by altitude. In the lower valleys live the Waki people, Muslim communities who farm narrow strips of arable land and raise yak along river-fed plains. Their villages are small, quiet, and anchored to the rhythms of mountain life. Far above them, on the vast plateau of the Little Pamir, live the Kyrgyz nomads, with a population of only about 1,200 people. They inhabit white felt yurts scattered across high-altitude plains more than 4,000 meters above sea level, enduring winters that stretch up to 8 months. Children here grow up in conditions where oxygen is thin, temperatures drop sharply. In the Wakhan corridor, civilization thins, silence expands, and the mountains keep their ancient watch over a world that time forgot. If the Wakhan corridor has introduced you to the wild beauty of the mountains, now let's move to the highest peak of this land, Mount Noshak. Soaring to 24,580 feet, the highest peak in Afghanistan, and also the ultimate symbol of the majesty and challenge of the Hindu Kush. With a summit wrapped in permanent snow, dominating a landscape of razor-sharp ridges, deep crevasses, and shimmering blue glaciers that carve through its flanks. The peaks surrounding Noshak form what climbers often describe as a sea of white mountains, an endless horizon of frozen summits stretching into Pakistan and the Pamir. Here the air grows thin, the sky turns a darker shade of blue, and the light becomes almost crystal clear, a purity found only at the top of the world. Reaching Noshak is an achievement earned by very few. Only a small number of international climbing teams have ever stood on its summit, navigating extreme altitude, unpredictable weather, and some of the most remote terrain in Asia. Because of this, Noshak is often called one of the least touched mountains on the continent. Nestled in the eastern reaches of Afghanistan, Nuristan is a province where steep, forested mountains plunge into deep valleys, creating a landscape that has long been isolated from the outside world. Its name, meaning land of light, reflects both the dazzling sun that filters through dense pine forests and the enduring spirit of its people. For centuries, Nuristan remained largely untouched, preserving unique cultures, languages, and traditions distinct from the rest of the country. The province is renowned for its rugged terrain, jagged peaks, cascading rivers, and valleys so narrow that sunlight reaches the valley floor only in brief flashes. This seclusion fostered a fiercely independent population whose communities historically resisted outside rule and maintained unique architectural styles, intricate wood carvings, and vibrant cultural ceremonies. Here, every ridge and river tells a story of survival, resilience, and the quiet majesty of a land both beautiful and formidable. After adventures on Mount Noshak and through the Wakhan corridor, we head south. Now to Kandahar, the city of golden deserts. This is where empires have risen and legends of bravery have been written into history. Kandahar is the second largest city in Afghanistan, a place where some of the most defining chapters of the nation's history were written. Few cities in the region hold a legacy as deep or as influential. Its origins trace back to the 4th century BCE, when Alexander the Great founded the city of Alexandria Arachosia, laying the foundation for what would eventually become Kandahar. Centuries later, in the 18th century, the city rose to unparalleled prominence when Ahmad Shah Durrani, the father of modern Afghanistan, chose it as the first capital of the Durrani Empire. From Kandahar, he unified the tribes and territories that formed Afghanistan as a single nation. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, Kandahar remained a strategic stronghold during the Anglo-Afghan Wars, a city whose location made it central to military campaigns and political power struggles. Its fortresses, battlefields, and old quarters still carry the weight of those turning points. Today, Kandahar stands as both a historical cornerstone and the cultural heartland of the Pashtun people, a city where Afghanistan's identity, statehood, and tradition first took shape. Afghanistan does not need anyone to paint it rosy, because the reality here is overwhelming enough. Amidst the ruins and the dust of time, life still sprouts strongly. Leaving this land, what remains is not pity, but respect for a nation that has learned to survive the harshest upheavals of history. To witness Afghanistan is to understand that beauty here is not effortless. It is forged in struggle, tempered by endurance, and made all the more powerful because it has been hard-won.